we decided to go and check out a streaming movie that looked kind of interesting, had a really interesting cast and interesting filmmaker behind it. So we went to the Max film Mountainhead. This came out yesterday, the 31st, on Max. And I'm gonna be the one that talks about this. Here we go. So Mountainhead, it is written and directed by Jesse Armstrong, who is one of the brains behind Succession. And this stars Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Cory Michael Smith, and Ramy Youssef. Some recognizable names. Cory Michael Smith might not be that recognizable, but we just saw him play Chevy Chase in Saturday Night just last year. So these four decide to, or they're old buddies. They're these tech developers, and they decide to go off to a mountain retreat at one of their new mansions in the middle of the mountains and have a little get together to hang out, to swap stories, to just kind of catch up. And these, you quickly realize these are four of the richest people in the world. And they're developing this tech, and one of them has developed tech that has become so influential and just came out with an update that takes advantage of AI, and it's so realistic that no one can tell if it's AI or not. And so these AI videos are starting to be made, and it is starting wars all across the world. And so now these guys who got together just to kind of hang out are now getting together to see if they can help reshape the world based on what's going on outside of where they're at, and how much should they be involved in the reallocating of the powers of the world, or how responsible should they feel for what's going on. It's a very talky movie. Like, it feels like it should have originated as a stage production, but it didn't. I never watched Succession, but I have a feeling that some of the speaking from privilege is probably a lot of what happens in Succession, because that's what these guys do. They're very privileged people. They have billions of dollars, at least three of them do, and they talk about the world from their perspective of privilege. The first half of the movie, you're just kind of going along like, this is kind of odd trying to get into the conversations that they're having. Like, I can imagine this is anything like Succession. I mean, Succession, you had seasons to build these relationships. This tried to build it in an hour and 48 minutes. And it just kind of jumps in, and you get bits and pieces of how the relationships were built and where they're kind of at in this whole thing. You definitely have Steve Carell, who's the older one, the elder statesman, kind of the godfather of the group. Cory Michael Smith is the big time guy among them. Ramy Youssef is kind of the quiet genius. That's the realistic one. And Jason Schwartzman, I mean, they call him Super because he's the one that is the soup kitchen of the group, because he's the one that has the least amount of money. Where this ends up going in the second half of the movie, like, it completely flips on its head as it thinks about what the world needs to be, and they decide they want to try and rule the world from their little Mountainhead estate up in the mountains of, I think they're in Utah. It was filmed in Park City. Where it goes in the second half, and once they decide that someone needs to die, and watching these computer programmers try to risk analysis ways to kill someone, I thought was hysterical. And that really worked for me. But then the way it ends, I don't know. This movie was all over the place. I was having trouble connecting to the first half. The second half was hysterical. And then the ending just kind of left you like, I'm going 2.5 stars, because this movie's kind of all over the place. Like, it wanted to be like Glenn Ross for tech developers in some way, of just, let's get these guys in a room and have them talk it out and see what happens. And some of it works and some of it doesn't. I wish more of it worked, because I kind of like all four of these characters, but they don't really work well in the scenes that are put before him all the time. So I'm going 2.5 stars on this one. Todd, where are you at?
I like it a little bit more than you, because I mean I got into the first half of it. Like I thought the vibe was immediately really sharp and confident in how it was telling the story. Like I think if this is what Succession's like, I probably should check it out. I don't know why I never did. But like I love the scenes where they're just like sitting there like scrolling on their phones and like live reacting to the notifications they're getting about what's going on in the world and how they can capitalize on it. Like to me that's fascinating. Carell is the weird one. He's distracting. He looks kind of disinterested. He doesn't really fit with the other characters. But these kind of satires have the feeling of being like Don't Look Up, but this one it's more focused and less stupid because the characters are less stupid. But I like how it kind of is almost shot in real time, it feels like, and the actors is doing their thing, and it does sort of feel like a play. Evidently, it was just like a 5-week shoot, and it was shot just like a month or two ago. I'm not really sure how they got that out that quickly, but I do also like that the characters are not like just caricatures of like nerdy tech people that they would be portrayed in like a show like Silicon Valley or something like that. They're more like frat bros with each other, but it feels like a White Lotus script. It kind of touches on everything. And but the one movie I was reminded of the most was that movie The Boys in the Band, because it's just like these actors and characters don't really get along very necessarily, but they're all like stuck in a room together. But it's not as snobby as stuff that Jesse Armstrong's done before, like In the Loop and The Death of Stalin and stuff he does with his British buddies. Like I don't really get into those, but this one's not. It's not as annoying to watch. I think Corey Michael Smith is the MVP. His character is absolutely cold and believable, and he looks just like the Patrick Schwarzenegger who was just in the White Lotus season 3. Yeah, I think it goes off the rails at one point, and oddly enough, that's where I thought it kind of got a little boring. Although it is sort of entertaining to watch, like these, how just to see how bad of criminals that geniuses are, like the Office space of it all. Like that part was entertaining. It ends on a sobering note, which is, and the movie's just strange at times. It's not really my speed necessarily, but I get it. And I'll probably need to watch it again to really catch it all, because it is really talky. But it is sort of like an absurdist satire that feels all too real when you just see like technology and how it can ruin everything and everyone when it's in the hands of lunatics like they are the characters in this movie. I do kind of like this movie. I have it at 3 stars.
All right, Zach.
Okay, well, I think the thing that we can all agree on is that the main cast of this movie is very talented. I think all 4 of the performances, Steve Carell, Corey Michael Smith, Ramy Youssef, and Jason Schwartzman, are all quite good in this movie. I think they're believable, and I can believe, I guess to a certain extent, I can believe why they would react in the way that they do during some circumstances, even if the way they react is irrational. Because I think something that the movie is trying to articulate is that their attitude, their flippancy about the world is a big reason why they're as wealthy and successful as they are. And so to go against that, as one of the characters threatens to do midway through, violates the spirit of their friendship and their camaraderie. I agree mostly with Terry, though. I think the movie has different agendas in the first and second half. I think the first half, the movie's trying to be a satire, an Armando Iannucci-esque satire about tech bros who put blinders onto the world. And we've seen a lot of that, whether it's Channing Tatum in that Think Twice movie or The Menu or The White Lotus. I didn't find any of that really that unique or refreshing. I did think the second half was a little funnier when it sort of abandoned that sort of tech bro dialogue. I kind of felt like the movie got a little desperate at a certain point, because it could have probably only been the script was probably sufficient only for a 45-minute episode. But when it does go that other direction, it's kind of funny and it's engaging. I don't think either half totally works, and it feels like 2 separate movies. That being said, it's not a complete misfire, but I just don't know really what the purpose of the movie is. It feels kind of like a short-term project. It feels like something that was developed quickly. The notion that the world would be on fire because of this app, leading people to go and riot because of deep fakes, that feels like a 2015 idea. That doesn't. I think the movie could have been a little bit smarter about global chaos caused by the disruptive fallacies of the app. That was never believable. What I liked about the movie was the Patrick Bateman-esque one-upmanship. I have a little bit more money than you. That makes me more valuable than you. Are you coming at me because I have more money than you? That was the extent of the interesting aspect of the movie. But I even think in American Psycho that was handled better. So I'll be a little generous to it. I'll go 2.5, kind of like Terry. It wasn't completely boring. I'm glad it was only as long as it was. It was interesting because of the actors. I feel like it probably should have been a better movie given the talent that we see on screen. That's sort of where I fall in it. It did have some good quotes though. It's so beautiful I could fuck it was a good one. I like the quote, I just want to get us transhuman. And what is the timeline on uploading human consciousness? That was funny.
Yeah, there are some pretty good lines that made me laugh too. I'll save one for quote of the day.
Actually, the movie that I thought of a little bit too, maybe Todd's seen it. Did you ever see Cosmopolis with Robert Pattinson? I kind of felt like this was the exact same movie as Cosmopolis in a way, because that was also about a guy who caused global chaos, kind of retreating from it. Although in that movie, he was just in his cab. I felt like some of the dialogue in this movie was almost borrowed from the Cronenberg movie.
But it was like a limo, right? It wasn't a
cab. Yeah, sorry, you're right. A limo. Yeah. But that movie, see, I think maybe the problem is also, it's just, everything is alluded to. You never see anything. Maybe that's the other problem in the movie, is Cosmopolis at least had some visual interest.
Well, I don't know. Like, you don't see anything else outside of where they are? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Maybe that was my other issue with the movie. I don't know. It just felt.
Because it's sort of like you're supposed to leave it up to your imagination just how bad things are. But isn't that the reason why you guys like that one Shyamalan movie about the cabin? Whatever, is because like all that stuff was like shown on TV and stuff, and you just got an idea of what was happening.
But those characters are more interesting than these ones.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's just a taste thing. But yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that part. I just had trouble getting on the wavelength of the characters and why they were and how they were and what they were. And
yeah, well, I mean, it does take a while to, like you said, if it was a TV show, it would have had a lot more to build up to it. You would have seen them all arriving there in extended sequences or even episodes or whatever. But I mean, I think you get an idea of why they're all together, except for Steve Carell. Like, he's the one that I just don't understand why he's there. But he does have some funny lines and some funny moments when he tries to like brush the gasoline under the door with his hand.
Yeah,
like,
that was good. That's the Office Space sort of stuff. I like that. But maybe if the movie had just leaned more into that, it might have just maybe make it more of just a straight Sean Levy-esque comedy.
And how that they're questioning whether they should do it because of the bad vibes they would get.
And I love
a sauna later.
I love how quick. Actually, I think the funniest moment of the movie was how quickly Ramy Youssef gets up after being bound in that bed. It's like they spend 5 minutes really thinking that he's almost dead, but no, he just very quickly gets up. I mean, that aspect of the movie was entertaining.
Or the 5-minute scene where they debate on the fastest way to get to the brain.
And Jesse Armstrong's kind of a weirdo. Like, did you guys ever see Four Lions, the Riz Ahmed movie?
No.
Like, his movies just have a weird, like, sense of humor and timing that is just different. I don't like it necessarily most of the time, but this one I thought just it clicked with me a little bit more. So.
All right. Well, we've got Todd at 3 stars. I'm at 2.5 stars. Zach is at 2.5 stars. If any of this sounds interesting, it's worth checking out. It's easy to find. It's on Max right now. It's on the homepage. Like you open up the app and it's right there. So you should be able to see it pretty easily. Mountainhead is what it's called. So
I bet it'll get at least
check
a
that
couple
out.
of Emmy or Golden Globe TV nominations or whatever, if that's what it's eligible for, I imagine.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Like Carell will get a Best TV Actor award at the Golden Globes for sure.